The galaxy knew her name in a whisper, Peril, the shadow of the void, the unstoppable blade that ended empires and extinguished rebellions. For 20 years, her legend haunted space lanes, strike missions, and political chambers. Entire factions surrendered when they heard her ship's signature. Criminal networks rewrote their routes to avoid any sector she entered. Kingdoms paid fortunes to keep her pointed at someone else. Peril was more myth than flesh, until the day everything changed. Until the day she cried for mercy. Until the day a human, just one, stepped forward to help her. No one, not even she, could have predicted that the galaxy's strongest assassin would one day collapse into the arms of a man who had never even held a gun. And yet, that is where our story begins. Beginning, the fall of the shadow. The planet Iridafor was simple. A peaceful frontier colony, mostly human, with farms, research domes, and sky platforms built for asteroid harvesting. The locals rarely dealt with war. They grew crops, tinkered with machines, raised families, and lived by the rhythm of two suns. Among them was Jonas Hale, a former engineer turned habitat mechanic. He was a quiet man, most days covered in grease and dust, with a reputation for being stubbornly kind. He fixed broken water filters for free. He delivered food to elderly colonists without being asked. He worked long hours but never let anyone feel like they owed him. Jonas liked simplicity. That's why he lived far from the colony center, in a small cabin near the forest line. He preferred the wind, the smell of the trees, and the absence of human noise. But fate didn't care what he liked. Because on the night that would change everything, the sky tore open with fire. Jonas stepped outside when he heard the sonic boom. Flames streaked across the sky like a broken starship slamming through the atmosphere. The crash shook the ground. Birds burst from the trees. Alarms echoed from the colony's central hub. Jonas didn't think. He grabbed his emergency pack, jumped onto his terrain bike, and sped toward the impact site. When he arrived, flames curled around twisted metal. He expected a smuggler ship or a lost cargo freighter. He did not expect her. Half buried under rubble, bleeding dark violet blood, was an 8-foot-tall alien woman with hard armor fused into her skin, glowing tattoos like fractured constellations, and eyes that flickered with predatory fire even as they dimmed. Jonas froze. Every news bulletin he had ever read slammed into his mind. The shadow of the void. The galaxy's strongest assassin. The unstoppable one. Peril. And she was dying. Her breathing was ragged. Her arm was mangled. A piece of metal was lodged between her ribs. Her armor flickered with warning sigils. Her voice came out as a whisper, weak, trembling, nothing like the terror she was known for. Please, she rasped, barely looking at him. Help me. Jonas should have run. Anyone sane would have. But he didn't. Because in that moment, she wasn't the galaxy's deadliest killer. She was a person dying alone. And Jonas Hale had never once in his life walked away from someone who needed help. He knelt beside her. I've got you, he said softly. I'm not leaving you. For a legendary assassin feared by trillions, it was the first time in decades that someone had spoken to her with gentleness instead of dread. And it broke her. A single tear, glittering silver, slid down her cheek. Middle, a human who didn't fear her. Jonas dragged Peril out of the wreckage piece by piece. She was impossibly heavy, dense muscle and metal-plated bone, but he refused to stop. When the flames neared them, he shielded her with his own body. Why are you helping me? She croaked. Because you need help, he answered simply. She stared at him like he was a creature beyond comprehension. No one helped an assassin. No one offered compassion to a weapon. But Jonas did. He hauled her onto his terrain bike, barely managing it, drove her to his cabin, and laid her on his bed while trying not to notice that she took up the entire thing. Her breathing faltered. Her eyes dimmed. Don't sleep, Jonas urged urgently. Stay with me. I don't know your biology. She gritted her teeth. You, humans are strange. Good. That means I fit in. Despite the pain, a faint smirk tugged her lips. Jonas disinfected her wounds, removed shrapnel, sealed deep cuts with med foam, and used a plasma torch to repair parts of her armor that were fused to her skin. All the while she watched him, studying him, confused by his calmness. At one point she asked, "Do you know who I am?" "Yes." "And you still help me?" "Yes." "You're a fool. And yet you're alive." She blinked slowly, stunned. Hours passed. The night deepened. The second sun set. Jonas worked until he collapsed into a chair, exhausted. Verila looked at him with something unfamiliar: respect? Appreciation? Gratitude? No. Something deeper. Because in all her years as an assassin, she had been obeyed, feared, hated, but never helped. Never cared for. Never looked at as anything but a weapon. Jonas Hale was the first person to treat her like she mattered. The hunters arrive. 2 days later, trouble came looking. A mercenary retrieval unit, 5 armored elite soldiers, arrived on Erida 4, hunting for the assassin who had failed her last mission. Jonas was outside repairing a solar panel when he saw the dropship descending. Verila sensed them instantly. "They're here for me," she said quietly. There was no fear in her voice, just resignation. "Leave. They won't harm you if you're not near me." Jonas didn't move. He didn't even look at her. "I'm not abandoning you." Her eyes widened. No one had ever disobeyed her orders. Not senior commanders. Not emperors. Not warlords. Yet this human, this gentle, stubborn human, refused to leave her. She had no words for the feeling that stirred in her chest. The mercenaries approached the cabin. Jonas stepped forward, hands raised. "This is private property," he said. "State your purpose." The leader laughed. "Out of the way, human. There's a bounty target inside." "No," Jonas said. "There's a person inside." The mercenary snorted. "She's an assassin. She's injured. She's a killing machine. She's under my protection." The entire squad froze at the audacity. "What did you say?" Jonas met their helmets without flinching. "I said she's under my protection." The squad roared with laughter, until a shadow emerged behind Jonas. Verila Cawthorne stepped out, still wounded, still weakened, but tall, imposing, and radiating killing intent like a black sun. The mercenaries raised their weapons. But she didn't draw hers. Instead, she said, voice steady. "If you want me, you go through him." The leader scoffed. "We're not here to kill the human. You will if he tries to stop you. He won't succeed. He already has." Verila moved, to stand beside Jonas. Side by side. Not as assassin and civilian. But as two people choosing each other. The mercenaries attacked. They shouldn't have. Even wounded, even exhausted, Verila was still the galaxy's strongest assassin. She tore through them with elegant brutality, disarming, disabling, and knocking them unconscious with precision instead of killing blows. Each strike was measured. Controlled. Protective. Not the cold violence of a hired killer. But the fierce loyalty of someone with something, someone, worth defending. When the final mercenary fell, Jonas stared at her, stunned. "You spared them," he said. "I don't kill those who threaten what's mine." He blinked. "Yours?" She looked away sharply, realizing what she implied. "I mean, your kindness. Your life. Ugh, forget it." Jonas smiled warmly. "Thank you. Her face heated with a flush of purple. No one had ever thanked her before. Late middle, the choice. In the days that followed, Peril healed. She repaired her ship using Jonas's tools. She spent quiet mornings sitting near his cabin, watching the twin suns rise. She didn't understand the peace she felt. Assassins didn't know peace. They knew missions. Orders. Targets. Blood. But Jonas had shown her a different way to exist. Sometimes he spoke to her like she was ordinary. Sometimes he asked about her culture, her people, her childhood. No one had ever asked her those things. Sometimes she found herself simply watching him work, with gentle hands, with patience, with a quiet determination she admired more than she expected. One night, as Jonas cooked dinner, Peril spoke softly. "You know, when my ship crashed, I didn't think anyone would come." He looked up. "I couldn't just let you die. But you should have. Helping me puts you in danger. Maybe. But letting you die would have made me someone I don't want to be." Her chest tightened. "You risked everything for a stranger." "You weren't a stranger," he said. "You were someone in pain." She stared at him, breath caught. "Humans," she whispered, "are the strangest beings in the galaxy. The final hunt." But the galaxy wasn't done with her. A second force arrived, far deadlier than the mercenaries. The Directorate, the shadow organization that once commanded Peril, sent an elite purge team. This time, they weren't here to retrieve her. They came to erase her. Jonas and Peril were eating when a seismic tremor shook the cabin. She stood instantly, senses sharpening. "They brought a walker," she muttered grimly. Outside, a towering mech lumbered through the forest, flanked by soldiers in heavy armor. "Jonas," she said, voice urgent, "you need to run." "No. This isn't like before. I can't protect you from this. I'm not leaving you." She grabbed his shoulders, eyes burning with frustration. "You fool. You're no warrior. You'll die." He held her gaze without fear. "And if you die? What then? You think I could live with that?" Peril's breath caught. Jonas Hale, the gentle mechanic, was willing to face death for her. No one, not even those she had saved in her bloody career, had ever stood for her. Not like he did. Something inside her cracked open. Something she had never felt before. "Stay behind me," she whispered. Then she walked out to face the killing machine. The battle. The purge team opened fire instantly. Peril surged forward, nothing but motion, instincts, and impossible skill. She dodged plasma bolts, used trees as cover, leapt onto the walker's armor, and tore through the plating with her bare hands. Her tattoos glowed with raw energy. Her roars shook the trees. Jonas watched from behind a boulder, heart pounding as he tried to stay out of sight. The battle raged. At one point, a soldier flanked Jonas. He froze, unarmed, unable to fight. The soldier raised a rifle. A blur of violet lightning slammed into him. Peril. She shielded Jonas with her entire body. A plasma bolt struck her back. She didn't flinch. She turned the soldier into scrap metal. Then she grabbed Jonas's face with trembling hands. "Stay down. Please. Don't die." "I couldn't," she stopped herself, breathing hard. "I can't lose you." He swallowed. "You won't." The battle continued. More soldiers fell. The walker collapsed in flames. Finally, the last enemy dropped. Silence settled over the forest. Peril staggered, bleeding heavily. Jonas rushed to her. "You're hurt." "Nothing, fatal," she muttered, then winced. "Possibly." He guided her back to the cabin, patching her wounds again. Her breathing steadied. Her eyes softened when she looked at him. You saved me, she said. You saved me first. No, she whispered. You saved me long before this battle. You saved me the moment you showed me kindness. Ending, a new path. When Varila's ship was finally repaired, she stood before Jonas, torn between worlds. I should leave, she said. If the Directorate tracks me again, you'll never be safe. Jonas swallowed. Do you want to leave? She hesitated. No, she said quietly. Not anymore. Then stay. Her eyes widened. You would want me here with you? He stepped closer. You're not just an assassin. Not to me. She exhaled shakily. Jonas, my life is blood and shadows. I don't know how to be anything else. You don't need to know, he said gently. We figure it out together. Her voice trembled. I'm not used to being cared for. Then let me show you. For the first time, Peril, shadow of the void, bowed her head not out of duty, but emotion. She whispered. Then I choose this. I choose you. Eritafor became her refuge, the place where she rebuilt not just her ship, but her life. She trained Jonas in basic self-defense, learned to garden terribly, fixed machines with unnecessary violence, and, slowly, let herself feel something she never thought possible. Peace. Belonging. Hope. And perhaps, love. The galaxy still whispered her name, still feared the shadow that vanished without a trace. But Jonas Hale knew a different truth. The galaxy's strongest assassin had not disappeared. She had simply found something stronger than fear. Someone worth living for. A lone human who stepped forward when everyone else stepped back. And that changed everything.